Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. So today I'm reviewing Trust. This came out in 1990 and was written and directed by Hal Hartley. And it stars Adrienne, Shelly and Martin Donovan, with an early appearance by Edie Falco. The film really focuses on high school dropout Maria Coughlin. She announces her pregnancy to her parents. Her father drops dead on the floor. Her mother kicks her out of the house and her boyfriend dumps her, so Maria is left alone and homeless. This is when she meets Matthew Slaughter. Matthew is an educated high school graduate with a great talent for fixing electronic devices, but he can't hang on to a job because of his principled attitude towards quality. When Maria accepts Matthew's offer to help her, they begin to form a relationship with each other, in which both of them begin to change. Hal Hartley is a unique filmmaker. His films are different, unique the way he does them, the way he shoots them. There's a lot of one-shot setups. The dialogue doesn't quite reign true. It's like one person talks and another person talks. It's not really like a conversational piece. In a lot of ways, it feels like a play, sort of the style that he has. All of his movies are like that. I've only seen a couple of them, this and Faye Grimm, and I'm kind of interested to watch more of his films. I just like the way he makes movies. It's refreshing and unique the way he does it. In many ways, it sort of reminds me of Jim Jarmusch's stuff and a little bit of Richard Linklater and Kevin Smith. Like, there's something about the way he delivers it. It's sort of unique and quirky like Jim Jarmusch does, but it has strange comedy and absurd comedy elements that Richard Linklater and Kevin Smith both use. I think both the leads do a fantastic job. Martin Donovan is an actor I've seen in a number of things, but this was one of his earlier sort of roles. Adrienne, I think her name's Adrienne Shelly. She's really great as Maria. She has a great arc in this film. She starts off this sort of quiet, high school dropout who's not very smart, who makes silly choices. But ultimately, from when she meets Matthew, she slowly becomes and evolves into a much better person. It's because of Matthew's influence in her life. She starts to want to learn more. She wants to learn words, and she starts reading the dictionary, and she starts to educate herself around particular subjects and certain things. The character sort of starts as a bit self-absorbed and it's all about her. And then as the film goes on, she changes. After she's kicked out by her mother because her father died and her mother blames her for her father dying, she comes back into the house. Her mother tells her she'll never forgive her, but she allows her to stay in the house if she does everything she's told. And so she becomes sort of a housewife in many ways. She starts doing all the cooking and the cleaning, and she goes shopping, and everything that her mother says for her to do, she does, as if looking for penance for what she feels she's responsible for, the death of her father. And she's by far the most interesting character in this movie, and I wanted to watch more of her. She was an actress that was murdered not long ago after she did a movie called Waitress. And it's kind of sad. She had a real talent she was a real talented actress, and she had a unique look and a sensibility and a way about her that really came across on screen. She conveyed such fascinating facets of the particular characters she did play. And this is a great example of it. This is Hal Hartley's second film. I haven't seen his first film. The Unbelievable Truth, I think the first film he did was called. But I look forward to seeing many more of his movies. He's a unique filmmaker, refreshing. It's good to revisit older films, especially from the 90s, and directors you're not quite familiar with, because you start to see something more interesting. You start to see what films were about and the stories that people wanted to tell, and how personal these stories could be, even in the smallest minute detail. The Matthew character is kind of an interesting one as well. He lives at home with his father. His mother died during childbirth with him, and his father sort of resents him a little bit and gives him a hard time all the time. And every time he gets a job and he quits or gets fired, his father gives him a hard time. He beats him up, and it's quite a difficult relationship between these two men. And because of the way he treats Matthew's become sort of a strong and sort of violent sort of character and man because of it. But when he meets Maria, it just feels like he understands things a bit more. But he still doesn't. He sort of resorts back to who he was. Where she sort of evolves and changes, he resorts back a little bit. And he finally accepts who he is towards the end of the film. But there's an extreme circumstance that transpires at the end of the movie because of his actions, and it just feels like the relationship with Maria has changed him, but not in the extent that it's changed her. And being pregnant and how she sort of navigates through that, and how she accepts who she is and she accepts what she wants in life and what she wants to do. And the film also looks at like having a child at a young age, and also looks at abortion and the effects that it has on the people, on the person and the people around them. It's a great example of a female character who starts in one section and evolves and grows into something else, and by the end of the film you really love her. She starts wearing glasses, she doesn't have this big puffy hair she usually has. She stops wearing revealing clothing and starts to dress normally. She dresses in this dress and she wears these sort of boots and she has this jacket, and that's sort of her costume throughout the film. But it just feels like she reaches a realization of something and an understanding of who she is. She gets to the point she doesn't take things anymore. She doesn't allow people to push her around or tell her what to do. She's decided she can make her own decisions. She gets a job and she works towards a particular goal. She knows what she wants and she heads towards it. Yeah, she was the most fascinating thing about it. I thought she was brilliant. It's a really interesting character and film. It's a very simple and basic movie. It takes place in a small sort of town. There's a lot of conversational pieces and people trying to manipulate people and make fun of them and take something away from them, whether it's their dignity or their pride or their principles. It really has sort of a lot of mean and nasty and selfish characters in it that sort of try to sway Matthew and Maria from one being in a relationship, but also swaying them from the direction they're headed by their parents. And how sometimes kids can suffer from their parents' mistakes, and in the way that parents treat their children is sometimes really wrong. And this sort of encompasses that in many ways. It's a very interesting film. I like the way it's done, and I just feel it's unique in its style and its approach to filmmaking. Final thoughts. Look, at the heart of this, it's really about relationships. It's really about how parents can blame kids for something they didn't do, or they blame them for something they feel they're responsible for, even though they weren't. And sometimes they do subconsciously. But it's about how this affects their children, just growing up, and an ability to understand and learn, and to dream about having more than they have and being more than they are. It looks at how sometimes in relationships or sometimes when we meet people, they can alter us, they can change us for the better or the worse. And it all depends on our outlook on things. And if it's for the better, we can evolve into something much beyond what we were originally. And I kind of like that. I like that element to it. I like that how people are affected by their circumstances, but also by their relationships with others, and how that can be a positive sometimes. And it also looks at people being who they are, accepting who they are, their responsibilities, and moving forward in life. I'm going to give Trust 4 out of 5. I thought this was interesting, unique. It's one of the better and refreshing films I've seen in a while. And I just had a good time with it. I liked the characters and the circumstances the characters were in. And I liked the way it was filmed and the way the dialogue was written and how it was played out, much like a play. What I'm going to start to do in the next coming weeks is just anything I watch, I'm going to start to do reviews on. I'm trying to focus on older films or hard to find films I haven't seen before or I haven't done reviews on, but also returning to films I haven't seen in a long time. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe in the bottom. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.